In 2024, Finland was ranked as the happiest country in the world for the seventh consecutive year, based on a survey conducted by the Gallup World Poll. Now, in early spring this year, I happened to visit Helsinki, the capital of Finland, and I have to say, from initial impressions, it did not seem like a particularly happy place. It was cold, cloudy, and even though it was technically spring, the oceans and waters were all still half frozen. The people themselves also seemed more downtrodden than anything else, like they were more just trying to get through life than enjoy it. I actually experienced a xenophobic incident shortly before I started filming this video. So basically, I'm just walking down the street, approaching that crossing where you see that orange bus stop for a second, and a homeless man is there asking me for money. So I just respond to him like I would any other homeless man and tell him, nope, sorry, don't have. And then I guess he gets upset or something, and he comes up to me as I'm waiting to cross and repeatedly yells in my face, F off, F off, F off, F off. So of course he's saying the actual word and not F. And yeah, I've just never experienced anything like that before in any country, and I didn't know how to respond, so I just ignored him until the light turned green and I crossed, and fortunately he didn't follow me. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting experience and not something that I would have expected to experience in the quote-unquote world's happiest country. Now, I filmed this video on Easter morning, just walking around the area where my hotel was, just a couple kilometers away from the city center. So there was no agenda or anything. I didn't intentionally try to find a bad place to film in. It's just me providing an unfiltered look of walking around Helsinki. Now maybe it's just me, but happiness and joy were not the first things to come to my mind as I was doing this walk. And it wasn't overly festive either, despite it literally being the day of Easter morning. If you think I created this video to bash Finland, I can assure you that is not the case at all. I am simply sharing my own experience and observations, and you can then form your own opinions. And in fact, I will actually share at the end of this video why I think Finland really is the happiest or one of the happiest countries in the world. While I was in Helsinki, I asked about 10 or so Finnish people why they think Finland got ranked as the happiest country in the world, and I got some pretty varied responses, but pretty much every single person I asked was surprised that Finland was ranked first. One person I asked was a 20-year-old emo-ish looking art student who basically said that Finnish people were all depressed. So when I asked her, okay, then how did Finland get ranked as the world's happiest country? And she basically said that it's probably because all of the really depressed people killed themselves. So the only people left to fill out the survey are the ones that aren't as depressed. And she also said that people are all racist and Islamophobic and basically had nothing positive to say at all about Finnish people. I asked her if she wants to leave Finland, and without hesitation, she was like, yes, I want to leave. And I asked her, where would you like to go? And she's like, anywhere. I would go anywhere. I just want to leave Finland. So her responses were definitely extreme. But I will say that she wasn't the only one who said Finns are depressed, racist, and kill themselves. And I did get similar comments from a couple other people, although not with the same intensity and nihilism of the art student. Another person I spoke to said that a lot of the people who kill themselves are the elderly who have lost their partner, and they don't have any other friends or know how to make any other friends, so they just decide to end their lives, which is a pretty brutal way to deal with loneliness. One of the stereotypes about Finns is that they are extremely introverted and prefer to keep to themselves, which pretty much everyone I spoke to said was true, and being alone really is a big part of Finnish culture. One person I spoke to was an American expat who had lived in Helsinki the past 5 years, and he told me that a lot of Finns have holiday homes that they retreat to, to get away from everyone, and it's considered a really big deal if a Finn invites you to their holiday home. And if you go have a coffee with a Finn, don't expect them to do much talking. And I was really shocked at how quiet Finland and Finnish people were. So the Helsinki airport, which is a big international airport, was undoubtedly the quietest airport I've ever been to. Even whispering there felt loud. And one interesting thing is that I remember the toilets there, they all played bird chirping noises, probably to give Finns that piece of peace, quiet, and solitude that they seem to love. Another major factor is the weather. Now, I had mentioned before how I arrived in Helsinki in early spring, so technically winter should be over, but to me it was still uncomfortably cold. Now, Northern Europe is infamous for its long, brutal winters, and Helsinki is no exception. Their wintertime basically goes from end of September to end of March, where for about half the year, it's cold, the days are short, and the skies are always cloudy, just pretty constant, miserable weather. Now, the interesting thing was on a day I arrived in Helsinki in late March, I was told that day was the best day of weather they had all year. Yet to me, the people still generally seemed lethargic and downtrodden. So perhaps this was because that I was there at the start of spring. So at that time, all the people there had just experienced 6 months of soul-crushing winter. So it probably takes a while for their spirits to be lifted back up. So if Finns are so depressed, then how the heck did Finland get ranked as the world's happiest country? I actually spoke to one person who participated in the survey, and she told me that the questions she was asked were all about things like healthcare, welfare, safety, corruption, and those sorts of things, and not about actual happiness. So there are no questions about things like how much fun are you having, how much do you enjoy your life, how much do you enjoy the weather, so nothing like that. Which means that the ranking is not so much about day-to-day happiness, but more so about life security and stability, and a general feeling that you can go through life without the rug getting pulled out from under you. And in that regard, Finland ranks quite high. A lot of the articles and media out there on happiness in Finland mention a part on life security and stability, but I think there's a lot more to it than that. What really intrigued me was how Finland can be ranked so happy when the Finnish are so introverted and so love being alone, because this seems to contradict a lot of the social science you see out there these days that says the quality of your interpersonal relationships are without question the most important factor for determining happiness and life satisfaction. So what's going on here? Well, just because Finns are introverted doesn't mean they don't have friends. One person I spoke to, a 20-something young professional, told me that Finns do have close relationships, but have no interest in making superficial relationships. Now, I think this is a very important distinction to make. So it feels like in most developed countries and cities in the world, especially the more competitive ones, relationships tend to take on a more transactional nature, where each person is in it only because they feel the other person can offer them something of value. So for example, this can be something like furthering their career or dating prospects, or something like, they have a beach house or boathouse or something and want to be invited to it. This results in an ultimately shallow and superficial relationship, which is much less fulfilling than a deep, authentic, intimate relationship that isn't built on a certain set of conditions. So while Finns aren't overly interested in making superficial or transactional relationships, they do have close relationships that they value deeply. And those are the types of relationships that contribute much more to overall happiness. Also, introverted does not mean Finns are unfriendly or they never want to talk to anyone. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Out of the 10 or so Finnish people I talked to about the happiness survey, every single one of them was happy to have a chat with me and answer my questions. It wasn't like in some other countries where if I was just to go up randomly to someone and start asking them questions, they might think, why the heck is this weirdo coming up to me? What does he want? Get away from me. So in fact, not a single person I talked to in Finland gave me that impression, which really highlights the whole authentic versus transactional relationship aspect, where perhaps Finns were happy to engage me in conversation because they weren't automatically assuming I wanted something from them. I like to pose a bit of an existential question. If Finns are so introverted and love to be alone, yet are also ranked as the happiest people in the world, then is socializing a social construct? Meaning that in modern society, there always seems to be this constant pressure to have an active social life. Like you always have to be hanging out with friends or going out on hot dates. And if you're not doing these things, and if you're not making weekend plans or you're going out to eat alone at a restaurant or something, then people always seem to feel a bit sad for you. But perhaps what the Finns can teach us is that all those friend gatherings and hot dates and all those superficial relationships are just a cover for what actually matter, which are deep, unconditional relationships built on genuine camaraderie, rather than what each person can do for the other. These are the types of friends that you wouldn't hesitate to donate a kidney to and wouldn't doubt for a second that they still be by your side even if you lost all your material wealth. If you have those types of relationships, then you can spend as much time alone in the woods as you want while still feeling connected, secure, and content. And that is perhaps the genius behind the strong social security and stability that Finland provides. Because Finns generally are not worried about having their basic life needs met, they don't need to approach every social interaction with the default premise of, what does this person want from me? Or what can this person do for me? And instead, they can engage with people under the premise of genuine interest and connection. So in essence, the strong social security and stability that Finland provides breeds an environment where deep and authentic relationships, rather than superficial and transactional ones, develop. Now obviously, happiness is extremely nuanced, and there's a lot more to it than what I've discussed in this video, but these are just my thoughts and observations from spending a few days in Helsinki, and I'd be curious to know what you think, particularly if you are Finnish or have lived in Finland. So let me know what you think by posting in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.